Hello and welcome to the Pool and Spa Professional Video Influencer Series. I'm Associate Editor Anthony LoCicero, and in this series we're bringing you videos filmed live at the PSP Deck Expo. On this episode I'm speaking with David Penton of Fluid Dynamic Pool and Spa and Ask the Masters. So David, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the show. It's so good to be back. Last year was a bummer on so many levels, but we didn't have the show, and I missed it.
Glad you could join us in person. And you're a specialist in constructing what you call estate pools or multi-million-dollar pools. What are some of the trends you see homeowners embracing when it comes to that?
I think what we're really starting to see is a lot more acrylic windows coming in. You're starting to see that kind of migrate down out of just the multi-million-dollar pools. You're starting to see that make its way into more traditional backyard pools. One of the big trends that we're seeing in California is the further maturing of the indoor-outdoor space, and you're starting to see all of the wall systems, the glass walls along the backside of the house where they're pivoting out, and you can open the entire indoor and outdoor space, and you don't have any obstructions between the two. And it's created some real challenges from a constructability standpoint that are finally now starting to be solved. I noticed some of the paver displays. You're seeing all of the pedestal paver systems, which allow us to create a perfectly level backyard, yet not have to worry about flooding when you get the rainstorm.
It's really interesting. And kind of shift to you being one of the masters in the Ask the Masters podcast series. What important topics has the podcast delved into, and any takeaways for our audience?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that for me personally, I have been mentored throughout my entire career, and so when we set out to create the Ask the Masters podcast, and then the Facebook page and all of the events and everything that we do, it was very intentional to do mentoring, but to bring it to a more of a format that people can consume at their own pace and on their own time. I have carved out coming to shows, and this show in particular every single year, because of the relationships and because of the mentoring that takes place at these shows. And so we wanted to create a space where you could replicate that to an extent. You're never going to get away from the in-person, but this at least allows us to continue some of the conversations that get started at shows.
It's a very popular medium now. It's good to see that it's being embraced.
Yeah.
And you're speaking of mentoring, so that leads perfectly to my last question: is why have you embraced it? What challenges do you have most often when mentoring other people? Any advice?
Yeah. So the biggest thing that I see from people is they get nervous and they get scared. And at the end of the day, we're all human. We're all just, we're all just people, and we're all making mistakes, and we're all struggling. And don't be afraid to come talk to somebody. That's the biggest takeaway. I remember the first time I attended the international show was 2006, and I was scared out of my mind, but I literally forced myself to go talk to people and go. There were key people that I knew I needed to see. And so that's the biggest takeaway I think that I learned was, matter of fact, the first person I spoke with became my mentor, and we still talk probably once a week. He's retired a number of years ago. So just those relationships that get built at a place like this, we can't do it on our own. And mentoring has done so much for me, and now giving back and to be a place where I can do that for other people has been really, I enjoy that.
Glad to hear that. It's great, the education, the mentoring, and networking, all these things that the show brings to us. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.